It's not Francis to be waving a gun like that. Something happened. We just don't know.
A man's family talks about his death. Today, officials say the police officer who shot him was legally justified.
We're very thankful to Judge McKenna.
Emotion in a packed courtroom as the judge agrees to an extended sentence, a plea agreement for a man who hit and killed his friend on the Glen Highway.
And April is coming to a close. The changes you can expect as we transition into May just next week.
And new video tonight of the fireball that streaked across Alaskan skies yesterday.
If another collector had purchased it in January, we probably wouldn't have seen it for another 50 years.
Well, it's already been in a private collection for a century, but now it's back home. We'll show you the golden spike at the Anchorage Museum and explain its ties to Alaska history.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
It's a shock that, he is, that what he did was really wrong, and we didn't expect that it was something Francis would do.
An Anchorage police officer is cleared in a deadly shooting while the family comes to terms with what the body cam video reveals.
Now, police plan to release the video tonight of an officer-involved shooting that left a man in the middle of the Tudor Road dead. Lauren Maxwell has been following this case and has an update.
That's right. 33-year-old Francis Rochon died February 4th after multiple reports that he was walking down the middle of East Tudor Road pointing a gun at passing vehicles. Now, Officer Isaac Kimball was one of the APD officers who responded. According to the Office of Special Prosecutions, Kimball ordered Rochon to take his hand off of a gun that was clearly visible inside his pocket. Rochon did not comply and continued to walk towards the officer, who then shot Rochon 6 times. APD has not released the video to the public yet, but Rochon's family has seen it, including his younger sister, EJ. And she told us today that her brother was intoxicated at the time of the shooting. Even so, the family is struggling to understand why it happened.
It's hard. We kept hoping and praying that, he wasn't the one in the wrong. Because that's not who he was. He was a kind person. He was quiet and, never wanted to hurt anybody.
And Rochon's mother told me today that she still has questions because the video is partially blocked and doesn't clearly show her son's response. She's asking APD to release video from other officers' body cams that could show a different angle. And hopefully we will be able to bring you that body cam video later this evening.
And many people are wondering about the 3 bodies found in an apartment in Anchorage's University area yesterday. Now, we have checked in with police who say there are no new updates at this time.
There is a new tip line dedicated to the man missing out of Eagle River, Tony Kronos. APD says there's no update in the ongoing investigation, but APD did create a phone line that is specifically for this case. Anyone with information, call the number on your screen, and you can read more about Kronos' disappearance on our website.
Well, an Anchorage man received 2.5-year sentence today after a hit-and-run death on the Glen Highway.
And that's 4 years after prosecutors say he kicked his 26-year-old friend out of his car on the Glen, then hit and killed him.
Be gone, devil. And Bryan Tyler McGee, damn you to hell.
And that is the dad of the man who died, Chase Bowerson, along with other family members in court today. Prosecutors say in January 2021, when the hit-and-run happened, Browerson and 29-year-old Bryan Tyler McGee had been drinking and fighting over money.
Now, the judge eventually accepted a 2.5-year plea agreement that comes after emotional pleas from Bowerson's family during victim impact statements. Now, that means initial first and second-degree murder charges, those were dropped. Today, he was sentenced for criminally negligent homicide and leaving the scene of an accident without assisting an injured person. Bowerson's family says it wasn't an accident. McGee told the court he never kicked him out of his car. He insisted the 26-year-old got out on his own.
I would never intentionally abandon or endanger someone, especially someone I considered a friend. For more than 4 years, I carried the weight of being labeled with accusations that didn't reflect what actually happened in names I would not even like to repeat.
This was not a tragic accident. It was not a reckless moment behind the wheel. It was a chain of deliberate, cruel choices. Bryan kicked Chase out of his car in anger at approximately 3:45 in the morning on the Glen Highway with the temperature at 8 degrees below with a wind chill of 15 below.
Oh, in total, McGee was sentenced to serve 2.5 years and will return to probation on Monday. His attorney says he has applied to serve out the remainder of his sentence through the Department of Corrections electronic monitoring program.
Well, it's a little cloudy tonight, but warm, and sounds like that's not going to change soon.
Nope. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry joins us now with the weekend forecast. Happy Friday, Melissa.
Happy Friday to you. Yes, we are holding on to that heat. 50, that is our new normal high temperature now, and that's right about where I expect us to stay as we head into the weekend. But we are seeing those clouds moving in, and those are going to stick with us this weekend. You can see mostly cloudy conditions from the view up at Mount Baldy and Eagle River. Those treetops swaying a little bit in the wind. It's been gusty to about 25 miles per hour. Temperature right now sitting at 49 degrees. We are still holding on to those 50s across Midtown, 54 at the Camel Creek Science Center, 51 at New Seward and Huffman, 51 right now in Eagle River. And it's still in the low 50s under the sunshine in the valley tonight, but much cooler as you head to the Kenai Peninsula. Rain showers moving in fast to Homer and Kenai, where temperatures have dropped into the mid-40s. More of those showers as you head through Kodiak to Dillingham into Cold Bay. High temperatures there also in the low 40s. Mild conditions up the west coast, back to that freezing mark in Kotzebue, just teens though, with some light snow on the slope. Made it back up to 50 degrees though again today in Fairbanks. Now that area of low pressure pushing in from the west is what is pushing clouds across much of the state. We will see wet conditions in the southwest corner of the state. That'll follow as a rain-snow mix in Bethel with high temperatures into the mid-40s. We'll see mostly cloudy conditions in Anchorage, rain showers along the coast, some of that cloud cover even extending into the interior. High temperatures still into the low 50s for you. And if you want to find full sunshine, Juneau's the place to be tomorrow. High temperature there back up to 50 degrees. And I'll have a look at the full weekend and extended forecast here in a few minutes.
Thursday night, an ordinance passed in Fairbanks requiring a hand count audit of election results. Supporters say it's meant to increase public trust in local elections. It narrowly passed 5-4. It demands that after each election, races from 2 random precincts will be hand counted. At public testimony, some objected to the ordinance, saying no Dominion machine counting can be trusted. Others supported that ordinance, saying it increases public confidence. Now, before the vote, Assembly members discussed that ordinance and the value of trust in elections.
There is a large group of people in this borough, in the state, in the nation, that don't trust them, and they've decided to drop out of the voting process. That, to me, is wrong. For whatever reason, it's wrong.
What it comes down to is trusting your friends and neighbors and the volunteers that make this system work. And if you have concerns, you get involved.
The ordinance was amended to include a hand count of a random contested race from early voting as well.
And celebrating the life of Pope Francis. The 88-year-old pontiff died Monday, just hours after celebrating Easter services. The funeral for Pope Francis will begin at midnight tonight, Alaska time. You can watch full coverage on our live stream, on our website, and our free streaming platforms. And still ahead, a golden spike full of Alaskan history is now back home. Hear where it's been for the last century, plus why it's important to Alaska's history.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
When the construction of the Alaska Railroad was completed in 1923, it was celebrated with a ceremony in the city of Nenana. President Warren Harding was there to drive a golden spike, finishing the rail line from Seward to Fairbanks.
Now, that spike has remained in private collections for the past 100 years. It's now back in Alaska, where it will stay. And Eric Stoll tells us why that gold spike is important and where you can see it.
When you open this,
I would say that the first turning point for Alaska of the 20th century all happen and are all tied to this object.
Made of solid 14-karat gold.
Presented to Colonel Frederick Mears,
Chief engineer for the Alaska Engineering Company, who built the Alaska Railroad.
By the city of Anchorage in commemoration of the building of the Alaska Railroad, 1915 to 1923.
The railroad has been an important part of Alaska's economic development.
It really changed the face of what we see today and what we know today as Alaska.
All represented by this piece of gold.
And the historical value is pretty remarkable.
This railroad spike links together the railroad and the state.
The spike was then used at the ceremony connecting the railroad from Fairbanks South and the one that came from Seward and Anchorage north.
It's been in private hands for more than 100 years, until January, when it came up for auction.
I've gotten wind of this, and I said, look, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Then Alaska pulled together to bring the Golden Spike home.
We had hoped, and we were successful in finding some donors who were willing to support us, as well as the city of Nenana that we partnered with.
Private donors, the Alaska Railroad, Nenana, and the Anchorage Museum came up with the money to win the auction.
The monetary value at auction means one thing, but for us, it's irreplaceable, it's priceless. It has no ability to be replaced.
Now, out of private hands and on display at the Anchorage Museum, shared with the city of Nenana, owned by Alaska.
It'll spend the summer in Nenana and then come back to Anchorage again for the winter.
Alaska history.
If anybody had ever asked me when I first started working at the museum, what's an object that you would love to see here if you had your entire wish list, I would say that the Golden Spike would be it.
Back home.
It is so integral to the founding of Anchorage, as well as the future connections that we have with the rest of the state.
Eric Soule, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.